pros and a lot of cons, so I figured it's just a lot easier if I just say it because everyone's thinking about it. Can tiny houses be turned into rentals for Airbnbs? That's the basic about it. Or, will it be turned into affordable vacation rentals? I'm just going to give you a bunch of lists of pros and cons, and then you can make your own decision, okay? Good news. The city has hired a contractor that scans the Airbnb system because the city has permits for legal Airbnbs in Mount Shasta. And so they hire a third party to scan the Airbnb system for anybody that's not permitted on the Airbnb system. So now we can start the enforcement process. That's good news. Bad news is that the enforcement process is kind of tricky because we're losing the budgeting salaries of enforcement officers, code officers, police officers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the tricky part. They hired them, and now we can have a list of people that's not doing it right, but getting a code enforcement or somebody to enforce it is a little tricky. So that's what they're trying to do to stop all Airbnbs, not just tiny house. Number 2, they're starting a vacancy tax. Anybody not, that it's in the works and it's in the talks. But, if you don't live here and it's vacant and it's stalling a bunch of progress in the city, we're going to start taxing that. The other thing was that Tiny Houses on Wheels was designed for permanent residency. It was designed for individual titleship. It was anti-commercial enterprises. It was designed anti anybody with capitalism to come in and buy a tiny house village. It was designed anti CEQA, which is California Environmentalist Quality Act or something. So you can't stop a tiny house village because of a spotted owl or something, because it's just too small of a parcel. So like 1 acre, one parcel, 1 acre. It's not that big, so it's exempt. It's, like I said, it's designed for individualized titleship. So it was not designed for Airbnb inventor rental stuff. So whenever you get your tiny house and it is up to specs, which is on top of a list of ordinances, a check. It just has to have a snow load, thick insulation because of snow, highway okay because it's on wheels, all that stuff, little paperwork that you have to turn in. Once you turn it in, they look at it, they say, yeah, you're good. Here you go, clean, done. Now you go and you park it. As soon as it's parked, it cannot move for 1 year. That's why it's designed for permanent residency. Now, I won't lie. If there's a fire out of nowhere in California next summer, that's the best part about tiny houses. You just hitch that thing and you just roll out and then you come back and put it back down and is what it is. But other than that, it's designed for permanent residency. So it just needs to stay put for 1 year. After 1 year, it can go anywhere you want to go. Go to Arizona, go wherever you like. It was designed anti-daily rentals, anti-Airbnb rentals. The shortest minimum rental is 30 days. So, I guess it's possible to rent it out for 30 days, I guess. But yeah, it wasn't designed for it. So it was 30-day minimum. And again, it was meant for individualized family systems. And so, if I went and bought a tiny house on wheels, just like a truck, just like a RV, just like credit unions and insurances, view tiny houses on wheels like an RV, like a truck. And so you can have a down payment or no down payment, interest of your own, finance through your own. 50 grand on average tiny house on wheels, 100 grand, some are 150 grand. There's some crazy stuff out there. But in the theory, it'd be, you could get a payment around $500 a month. And it's in Mount Shasta, it's up to 400 square feet. So 10 feet wide, 40 feet long. That's pretty big. Side note, we're going to have a dinner Saturday, December 13th at 5 p.m. at Soul Connections upstairs, Mount Shasta. And we're going to have a tiny house on wheels on location, on site. And so we'll have a little dinner, say hi to each other, and then you can go walk the property. Kids can walk the tiny house Open the doors, walk through, kids can see. You can see stuff, touch stuff, you know, move the toilet there, move the bed here. Is this big enough for me and my cat? Is this big enough for single mom with kids? Is this big enough for us to actually see ourselves living in or not? But it's just cool that we're going to have one. So that's a side note. Cons. We are in an AI tech world. Airbnb ain't going nowhere. The idea of Airbnb is in Uber, it's in Airstreams, it's in boats, it's in teepees, it's in glamping, it's in everything. It ain't going anywhere. Second note, where there's a will, there's a way. If someone really, really, really wants to make a tiny house on wheels into an Airbnb and hide underneath the radar of the contractors that we hire to scan all the Airbnbs in Mount Shasta, see that it's actually a tiny house, and then go look at our ordinance which says anti-Airbnbs, minimum rental of 30 days, and you got to have a permit to do the stuff, you know, whatever. We might one day have an enforcement thing to make it happen. Secondly, whoever buys the parcel, like if I go out there and I buy the parcel and I put my tiny house on there and then I hook up 8 other tiny houses and I put a community center in the middle, someone owns that parcel. So kind of like an Airbnb owner has to be on site kind of thing, and then like you like rent out the back in a mother ADU, and then you rent out the front main house while you live in the back ADU or something like that for Airbnb systems with a permit in town. It's similar to that. So like if I own the parcel and I rent it out to 9 different families or 8 different families, there's no way to not know that that's an Airbnb. Okay, if I have a parcel and I have 9 tiny houses, including mine, and I rent it out to 8 different people and they're 8 different individual title ships and houses, there is no way that I could not know that that number 4 is an Airbnb because there's new people in there all the time. Come on. So it's small enough that you can almost micromanage the Airbnb systems for tiny houses on wheels. I'm hoping this answers most of your questions. If there's any other questions, please put it in the comments, because I got to go to work. So, working man, and happy Thanksgiving. Again, it's going to be the second Saturday of every month forever. So come to the dinner. We'll bring another councilman to talk to us, which was super awesome and informative. And now we're going to have a tiny house on wheels for you guys to walk and talk. So that'll be fun. Deuces. Aloha. Bye.